Well, fellow YouTubers and faithful subscribers, I have another video I'm about to put up. I haven't put up any videos for a while. I've been busy. And I just got this. It's a Ford Taurus. It's the SHO model, V8. 3.4 liter. SHO stands for super high output. A lot of people refer to it as the Ford Taurus SHO. It has 215,000 miles on it. And I picked it up pretty cheap. It wouldn't idle. It was running like shit. So I started doing some diagnosing and tore the whole intake off of it and took the valve cover off. And it has the notorious Ford camshaft problems. This sprocket right here is slipping around there. You'll turn the car over and only the front cam will turn, the exhaust will not. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to weld that back on there. But before we do that, we're going to have to pull this front valve cover off and go off this diagram here and get the timing chain back in its proper position since it was slipping back there. That way we could get this car back on the road. Now, you know, I've done a lot of welding in my day, but I've never welded something like this. I'm going to need to put the weld right there and that thing all the way around that camshaft on that gear. Now, I've read a lot of stuff on the internet on how to do this and do's and don'ts, and people say do this and don't do that, and it's just real confusing. So I'm going to do what I think's best off of my personal experience. What I'm going to do is I'm going to clean that up with the brake cleaner. Maybe scuff it up a little bit. Weld it, rotate it, weld it, rotate it all the way around. And I'm going to do that to all 4 cams, just as preventive maintenance. So that's going to be the plan. So once I get this front valve cover off, I'll show you guys what's going on. Actually, better yet, I'll just show you what's going on here. I'll crank it over for you guys so you guys can see how this is doing. Okay, right there you can see the front, the intake cam, and the exhaust cam. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go start, well, not start the car, but crank it over, and you guys can see where it's slipping right through there, how it's not turning the sprocket. Hopefully my camera don't fall. Here we go. Well, hopefully that showed you guys what's going on. You can see how the front lobes are turning, but not the back ones. How the sprocket was not turning. So we're going to have to weld that. So, anyways, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this front valve cover off now, get it back in time, and then we're going to see about welding it. And I'm going to MIG weld it. Well, I got the front valve cover off. Everything looks good. Up here, read on the internet that while I'm here, I may as well go in and weld that as well. So we're going to do the front here. But first thing we need to do is there's little timing markers. I don't know if you can see it with the camera, but there's an X right there. We got to get those so both on the top, on both sides, top center on that back one, and then I could go to the back and adjust these back cams. And then after that, then it's going to be in proper position. So that's the next step, is to get the cams lined up. That way it's we'll match that diagram and it'll be in time, and it'll run good after we get this welded, if the weld holds. Alright, well, I got the engine all covered up. I got the timing markers lined up on this front side of the motor. That one's top center, and the one that's behind this sprocket is top center, but it's off about 5 degrees, maybe one tooth. So I don't know, it ran like that, and it was on this front side, which wasn't messed up, so it ought to be alright. The back one is at top center, and this front intake on the back side of the engine is it's at bottom center, but that's a sprocket that slipped, but it shouldn't have moved it. So I don't know, we're going to weld it and see what happens. Worst case scenario is I'm going to have to take the cam out and rotate it a few teeth and just keep trying it until I get it, but we'll just see what happens. So I have it all cleaned up, so it's ready to weld. I have the old Miller-Matic out. Just practicing some welds. There's the gun, helmet. I'm going to ground it and try welding it and see what happens. I'll keep you guys updated. Alright, you can see where I have it grounded. Have the gun right here. And here we go. Oh, there's the first bead. Now we've got to rotate the cams. Looks like everything's turning as it should. Alright, we're going to weld it again there. There's the second weld. We got some good penetration on that one. Now we need to rotate these cams some more. rotate it again. Well, it's all welded. Well, as you can see, I got it all welded. I welded it, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 times around. Now the next thing I need to do is put a compression test on them back cylinders to make sure everything's working right. That's how I initially found out. Well, I thought the timing chain maybe broke, but I didn't have any compression in the back cylinders, and I had 160 in these front ones. So I knew it was something in that back head. Took it apart and cranked it over and seen that it was slipping where that gear was at. So I'm going to do a compression test on them cylinders and see what I'm getting to see if everything's lined up right and see if that's going to work. Well, tubers, I got the cam all welded, as you guys seen. The cams are working properly. They're in the correct time. But we have another problem. I don't know if you could see it, but the valves aren't coming all the way up, which means that we have bent valves and we're not producing any compression on 3 of these back cylinders. So my options are I could either replace the head with new valves, take the head off and put new valves in it, or just button it all back up and sell it how it is and get rid of it and not worry about it, let somebody else worry about it. So I got the front valve cover back on there. The front pistons all have 160, and the back ones, 3 of them don't read because those valves are stuck open, and the one, it has 150 something. So we're just going to button it all up and try selling it how it is. You know, I would replace the head and put some new valves in it, but you cannot find a head gasket set for this car. So that's what we're going to do. Well, I got it all put back together. It runs a lot better because now that back cam's working. It still idles rough. Has a little coolant leak right down there. There's some sort of, that's a coolant line that goes from this bottle. And like there's a plastic tee or something that's broke. It's hard to see down in there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to fire it up and back it out of here. And after I do that, then I'm going to go for a drive. We'll see how it does. All right, we're gonna fire it up. See, it sounds a lot better. All right, we're gonna back it out of here.